Hello, and welcome to the Innovation in Action podcast. I'm Jessica, your host, and I couldn't be more excited about today's episode. We're diving into the fascinating world of micro innovations, those small, incremental changes that, over time, can transform an entire organization. Joining me is someone who literally wrote the book on this, Zenson, the author of Small Steps, Big Impact: How Micro Innovations Drive Sustainable Business Growth. Zenson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm thrilled to be here and share why I believe the tiniest tweaks can yield the biggest results in business.
I love that idea. We often hear about massive disruptive innovations, but your book focuses on something more subtle yet equally powerful. Before we get into your background, could you give our listeners a snapshot of what Small Steps, Big Impact is all about?
Absolutely. The core message is that small, steady adjustments, what I call micro innovations, can accumulate over time to create a wave of positive change. It's about every employee, from frontline workers to the CEO, making small, practical improvements in how they work. These little steps might not attract headlines, but they can drive sustainable growth and, frankly, keep an organization resilient in fast changing markets.
It sounds refreshingly simple, yet it has such profound implications, especially when we think about sustainable growth. Could you explain how you landed on the idea of micro innovations as a central theme?
I was visiting a manufacturing plant in Japan years ago, and I saw a line worker pause the entire production flow for literally 2 seconds to shift a small hook on a workstation. The next day, that micro adjustment was saving the company minutes per hour. Multiply that by the number of shifts, days, and lines, and it was astounding. It hit me like a bolt of lightning. If a single tiny tweak could yield such a noticeable improvement, imagine if everyone, every day, looked for a way to improve their piece of the puzzle. That's how the concept of micro innovations was born. It's like raindrops carving a canyon. Each drop is small, but collectively, they reshape landscapes.
That's such a vivid metaphor. Raindrops carving a canyon. We often think we need a single revolutionary product to change the game, yet you illustrate the power of persistent, small changes. So, tell us more about the central thesis of your book. If a business leader picks up small steps, big impact, what's the main lesson you want them to walk away with?
The main lesson is that innovation doesn't have to be a grand, high risk venture. It can be embedded into the daily fabric of work, every meeting, every process, every routine. When you nurture a culture where these small ideas are welcomed, tested quickly, and celebrated, you create this unstoppable momentum. Leaders should see themselves as chief experimenters, encouraging teams to fail fast in small ways, learn quickly, and keep moving. It's less about one giant leap and more about a million tiny steps building your organization's future.
I love that. For those who lead teams or entire organizations, what practical tools or insights can they expect in the book?
I break it down into a clear framework. Identify strategic focus areas. Align your micro innovations with your bigger goals. Solicit and prioritize ideas. Gather input from everywhere: frontline employees, middle managers, even customers. Pilot on a small scale. Think of it like a mini lab. Test ideas in a contained environment. Evaluate and iterate. Collect data. Learn from failures. Refine successes. Scale and repeat. Roll out what works across the organization and keep the cycle going. Along the way, I share case studies from industries like tech, finance, logistics, and manufacturing, so leaders can adapt the strategies to their unique contexts. It's very hands on and includes checklists, reflection questions, and examples of actual micro innovations that paid off big.
And these examples really bring the concepts to life. One of my favorite parts of the book is how you compare micro innovations to tiny seeds that eventually grow into mighty oaks. It's so empowering to think that a small nudge today could lead to a towering success tomorrow.
Exactly. That's the metaphor I use to remind people that these changes might appear almost invisible at first, but once they take root, they can flourish beyond expectation. It really comes down to building a culture that nurtures that growth.
For listeners who might still be on the fence, maybe they feel overwhelmed or they're worried their organization is too set in its ways. What's one actionable takeaway from the book they can start with tomorrow?
I'd say start with a micro innovation huddle. Grab your team for just 10 minutes, ask each person to name one small obstacle in their daily work, and brainstorm a tiny fix together. Pick one fix to try that very week. Nothing fancy or expensive. Maybe it's rearranging a form, changing the order of a recurring task, or testing a small code snippet in your software. Measure what happens, and if it helps, even a little bit, celebrate it. That small success can create a ripple effect of positivity and creativity.
I'm truly inspired, Zenson. We've learned how micro innovations can reshape businesses from the ground up, how leaders can foster a culture of daily improvement, and why small steps taken consistently can accumulate into a giant leap. You've given us plenty to think about and to act on.
Thank you, Jessica. It's been a pleasure sharing these ideas. My hope is that everyone listening realizes they don't need to wait for a revolutionary idea. They can begin innovating right where they are today.
What a powerful reminder. If you want to dive deeper, be sure to pick up Zenson's new book, Small Steps, Big Impact: How Micro Innovations Drive Sustainable Business Growth. It's packed with stories, frameworks, and actionable tips to help you and your team make small, steady, and impactful changes every single day. Thanks for tuning in to Innovation in Action. Remember, the future of big success often starts with the smallest step. Until next time, keep innovating, one little step at a time.